Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is up? What is up? What is up? Welcome to another edition of the Hawksbeat podcast, a preseason edition of the Hawksbeat podcast. So, many of you guys, if you've been rocking with us this week, you've heard our season previews. We talked about the Miami Heat. We talked about who we talked with last night, Charlotte Hornets. And tonight, as it so happens, the Orlando Magic are in town, about to play one of two games against the Atlanta Hawks. I have with me this evening, Jonathan Osborne, going to talk with us from the, tell me the name of the Six Man Show podcast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Six Man Show podcast. Super excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Tell us again just a little bit about the Six Man Show. Who's your crew? How long you guys been rocking with the Magic? How long you guys been doing your thing?
So yeah, Six Man Show. If you've ever been to the Amway Center, the only jersey that the Magic actually have retired is the number 6 for the fans. So that's kind of where the name came from, just to play on that. Me and my boy Luke Sylvia, every Monday, rain or shine, hell or high water, basketball, no basketball, especially this year. We talk Magic basketball. So that's what we love to do. I've been a fan since like 2002, 2003, the Tracy McGrady days, when I fell in love with basketball. Might be able to see it right there, hung up on my wall. That's been my guy, and been rocking with the team ever since. Lived close to Tampa almost my entire life, so it's the closest team that we have. So it's the home team, and live, breathe, and die Magic basketball.
That's what's up, man. So again, the Magic are in town playing the Atlanta Hawks, and typically I would be at the game covering the game. This would be year 7 for me covering the Atlanta Hawks, but because of that damn COVID, I saw some pictures of a few media that were able to get in, and it's an empty state. It's an empty arena. It's a beautiful arena, but it's empty, and the guys are on the court warming up, and it looks very awkward. But I don't know, man. This is gonna be a crazy year. It's gonna be a crazy year, but we're gonna see. Hopefully, they can get through it with as many healthy bodies as possible, and we don't have too many flare-ups. 72 games is a lot of games, but we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see.
Yeah, definitely very excited. Just there's been some issues a lot of Magic fans know with like our regional sports package with Fox that like Hulu's gotten rid of, YouTube. So like the better part of my day today was literally just figuring out how I was going to be able to watch Magic basketball for this season. So,
wow.
I've gone totally legal route. I can't say that for everybody. I know some people are going to be watching the team, but just happy to be able to have basketball, man. More importantly than anything, we want everyone to stay healthy. But if we can do that and have basketball, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and that's crazy because the guy I was talking to last night about the Charlotte Hornets, they're kind of going through with the same thing. I don't know if Spectrum is a big thing down there in Orlando, but they're dealing something with Spectrum. Even in Atlanta, there's something going on with Fox Sports South. It's crazy, man. Like, people are stuck in their houses. They're doing work. They're doing school. Fix these agreements so we can watch some basketball, man. Like we're in the house, fix these things so we can watch some ball, man. Golly. That was the bone. I want to talk real quick, man, about the roster. Just going to go over a few things before the game tips off tonight, man. I want to talk a little bit about the roster, but before we get into the roster, I want to ask you about your draft pick. You guys drafted Cole Anthony, 15th overall point guard. I actually really like a combo guard out of North Carolina. What are your thoughts on the Anthony kid?
So leading up to the draft, there was a lot of talk about who the Magic were going to take, obviously, mostly amongst fans. You know how it goes. But there was some like Tyrese Maxey, Kyra Lewis Jr. There was a lot of, Cole Anthony talk. Tyrell Terry was, like every year I have like a sweetheart pick, and that's who I really wanted to see the Magic to take. Funny enough, I'm actually a North Carolina Tar Heel fan, so I did watch a decent amount of Cole this year. Okay. And basically what everyone else saw, loads of potential, but decision making was kind of all over the place at times. Admittedly, did not have the talent around him at North Carolina. This, outside of Cole, this is one of Roy's worst recruiting years since he's been at North Carolina. But all the hype in the world come out of high school and just didn't really meet the expectations that he had at North Carolina. I think that really hurt him. He was plenty good, 18 points a game, albeit inefficient, but the numbers were there. I think what hurt him was really just he didn't reached the lofty expectations that were set before him. That being said, obviously he's got the bloodline, Greg Anthony, and just hearing him talk not only on draft night, but the media availability that he's had since then. I know he's great friends with Mo Bamba. Just seems like a kid that lives, eats, breathes, and will die by basketball. Like, loves basketball more than anything else in the world. So as far as like a talent aspect, I'm not worried about that. Not worried about the fact that he's going to work his butt off. It's just, is he going to be able to produce at the next level the way that everyone thought, 2, 3, 4 years ago coming out of high school, all the ball is life and the hoops highlights and all that stuff that you saw. Anthony. So at this point, super, super excited, especially he's going to be coming off of the bench, kind of filling the role that, DJ Augustine had last year for us. So really, really excited about Cole and see what he can bring to the table this year.
Yeah, you mentioned his pops being Greg Anthony. I think that is such an asset to these guys coming in the league. Just having that somebody in your ear, because a lot of rookies, once you're in this business for a while, you'll hear rookies say, well, after you go through your rookie year, now you have an understanding of what it's like. He can come in from the front and be like, yo, man, I talked to my pops. I know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? So that's an awesome resource for him. I echo your sentiments exactly, man. I think that he came out of high school heralded, man. I thought that he was going to produce a little bit better at UNC. I wasn't prepared for UNC to be kind of like that average when he was there, and that's to put it lightly. But I think you got a decent marginal role player as far as Cole Anthony is concerned. So I like the pick, actually. We talk a little bit about the player movement. Every year, every teams lose free agents, and every team brings in free agents. For the first time in forever, it seems like Atlanta had a pretty good free agency class, bringing in Gallinari and Rajon Rondo and Bogdanovich, Tony Snell. They had a pretty good class. You guys lose a guy who I was trying to get to Atlanta, DJ Augustine, who was just a pro's pro, one of my favorite guys. I was like, listen, guys, Hawks need a backup point guard. And in every podcast I was on, I was like, we need to get DJ Augustine here. Talk about a little bit about what you guys lose with DJ and who you guys bringing in.
Yeah, so first of all, I don't know if there's a team in the NBA that had a better free agency than the Hawks. Like, you guys got so much better this offseason with the additions that you were just mentioning. Just looking around the league, I don't know that you can point to another team that can say, like, the amount of growth that they had was bigger than the Hawks. But as far as losing DJ, we it was a rough year, for Magic fans and like the relationship with DJ, because obviously coming off of the playoffs, against Toronto, game 1, hits that huge shot. And in my opinion, I don't care who you ask, he's always going to be like an Orlando Magic legend almost to some aspect because of that.
Yeah.
Talking about the Magic highlights, like as far as like the franchise, made the finals a couple of times. Aaron Gordon got robbed in the dunk contest a couple of times. If you want to talk about Nick Anderson missing his free throws, it's a pretty short list as far as like big Magic moments. So DJ is right up there instantly. When you talk about being a pro's pro, the guys that I talked to that have been in the locker room, that's exactly their sentiment, is that DJ was the absolute like best representation of what a professional can be, what he brought to the team as far as leadership and chemistry. Guys are going to kind of look around and somebody's going to have to step up to kind of fill that role, because that's exactly what DJ was last year, right? It was a little bit tricky with the rotations that Clifford implemented last year, because we all saw the improvement out of Markelle like right away. So we were like on everything through Markelle when he's on the floor. Not a great three-point shooter, so it seemed like every time that he and DJ were on the floor at the same time, DJ kind of dominated the ball, and Markelle was just kind of sat in the corner, which he's not a great three-point shooter right now, so it wasn't really the best use of his talents, I guess you could put it that way. Yeah. But definitely a guy, Milwaukee is getting a heck of a backup point guard, one of the best catch and shoot shooters in the league, can run the offense. Defensively, he's getting up there. He's limited to what he can do there, but just brings you a lot of intangibles as well. But again, really excited about the opportunity that Cole Anthony has with DJ kind of leaving. Now, the writing was on the wall, right? If we took a guard, we knew that it was either going to be DJ or Michael Carter-Williams on their way out. And just kind of the way everything shook out, it made more sense to move on from DJ at this time. But really excited for what Cole is going to bring, especially his ability to be a primary ball handler with that second unit. It's a good way to just kind of get his feet wet and everything like that. But yeah, the loss of DJ in the locker room definitely can't be understated.
Yeah. Who are some now? Is Carter Williams is still on your squad, right? Is he still on the roster, or is he?
He was brought back on a 2-year deal, I believe.
Okay, and one thing I've always asked the guys, and I'm not sure what your cap space looks like or what the money looks like. There's always a guy or two when the season starts that, well, come trade time, this guy might be on the block. So is there anybody on this roster who you think the Magic may look to maybe do some wheeling and dealing, maybe a last year in a contract they're not going to, they don't want to re-up on? Are there any guys that you could possibly see on a trading block if the right deal comes up, when the trade deadline hits?
Absolutely. So Magic fans would completely exile me if I didn't mention Evan Fournier. So
okay.
Contract of Evan, Nikola Vucevic, Aaron Gordon. Cap space was pretty limited for us this offseason, so that was another reason that you were going to see a guy like DJ move on. Still signed a really good deal. I think like 3 years, $21 million or something like that for him. Michael Carter Williams, I believe, came back on almost pretty close to like a veteran's minimum deal. But yeah, Evan Fournier and even Aaron Gordon, those are the two guys that I think most Magic fans have their eyes on as far as possibly being moved sometime this season. Aaron Gordon is probably the guy that's least likely between the two, just because he still has a few years on his deal. When it comes to Evan Fournier, I think the sentiment around the fan base is just that he doesn't really fit into the long-term goals of the franchise, and I would like to see the keys turned over to guys like Markelle and like Cole Anthony, eventually Jonathan Isaac, people like that. So yeah, if he's not moved by the trade deadline, I'll be pretty surprised, just because of the fact that he did opt into his final year. He is expiring this offseason. Most Magic fans think it makes sense really from a money standpoint, or a fit standpoint for Evan Fournier to return after this year. So that's the guy that I have my eyes on as far as who we may move on from during the season. Now, if we come out and we're 10, 12 games below 500 come the trade deadline, I could see them moving Aaron Gordon as well. He's a guy that has each year, that contract is going to decline over the next few years before he expires. So even though we're not really sure, Magic fans aren't really sure what Aaron's value is around the league at this point, just because, as far as we're concerned, he hasn't really lived up to the expectations and hasn't really accepted the role that we think he would fit best, which is kind of like that Draymond-esque, high-level defender. Playmaker as well, but when it comes to the offense, just kind of picks and chooses his spots. But yeah, those would be the two guys.
What do you guys see in Mo Bamba? Last year he had kind of battled injuries last year, I think. But what is the sentiment about a Mo Bamba kid? How does everyone? Do people love him down there? Is it kind of okay? Well, he kind of had an injury plague a year. We'll see what he is this year. I mean, is it still out? What's the word on him?
I'd say the jury's really still out. Mostly the fan base is really, really split on Mo. I mean, there's those people that obviously have the injury concerns. I mean, he had a stress fracture a couple of years ago, his rookie year, that really limited his play. And then last year, kind of fell out of the rotation at some points. Clifford opted really to go with Kem Birch for a few weeks there. But then when he got back, to the bubble, we found out later on that he had COVID in June. So when they got back to the bubble, he had just kind of lost all of his conditioning and was just not getting back to the level that he needed to be at in order to play. And even still now, they're saying he's still kind of a ways away of getting his conditioning back, getting to a point where he's going to be able to contribute on the floor. So, again, Magic fans are really split down the middle, because it's like, even when he does play, he's not really producing to the level that you would hope a lottery pick would. Now that can be argued whether it's the role that he's in or, the amount of playing time. I don't want to get into all the specifics, but a lot of us still really believe in Mo. He's had a lot of bad luck when it comes to injuries and health and everything like that. He has shown flashes. I think there was a game actually last year against Atlanta where he had like 15 points in the first half, some big offensive rebounds, a few blocks even. So he's shown flashes here and there. But we just don't know, is he going to ever be able to live up to, the lottery pick that he was? He's got to stay healthy in order to do that. And up to this point, he hasn't been able to prove that he can do that.
Yeah, and hopefully he can have a healthy year. He's a very charismatic kid, and I pull for the kid from a distance. I want him to succeed, but some guys, man, they just can't get over that injury bug, and it's just always there. And COVID is something, man, like I think a lot of people really underestimate. Like, I mean, there's long-term effect from that. So if you've already had a history of dealing with injuries and then you throw the COVID on it, then I don't know, man. We just wish that man the best, man. We wish him the best. I think that this year, more than anything, depth is going to be critical. Because I think the official stance is if you were to get COVID or anything, you got to sit out at least 10 days. It's 10 days, and then you got to be COVID free for a certain amount of time, and then you have to have a certain amount of positive tests. So there's a chance you could see, and God forbid, I hope it's not anybody that really gets it, but for instance, just for example, what if you have like Giannis out for like 10 to 15 days, or a Trae Young in Atlanta, or whoever, LeBron James. Like, this is a year where you really got to worry about, like, who was my backup point guard? Who was my backup point guard?
Right.
Talk a little bit about your second string. What's your second unit going to be like?
So I think the jury's still kind of out on that. So our starting five is looking like it's going to be Markelle, Evan Fournier, James Ennis, Aaron Gordon, and then Vucevic. James Ennis is out right now, so they actually have Dwayne Bacon is going to be starting the small forward role tonight. So a lot of us think that the second unit is going to look like some combination of Cole Anthony, Terrence Ross, our sixth man right there, Chuma Okeke, and then Kem Birch. So Clifford usually likes to play 9 guys for the most part in his rotations. We know Michael Carter-Williams is going to fit in there somewhere. Yeah. Like Clifford just loves Michael Carter-Williams regardless of the situation. So he will find a way to get him on the floor. And a lot of good comes with that. Sometimes some bad comes with that, but it is what it is. So, we're probably looking at like a 10-man rotation of that second unit's going to be Cole, Chuma, Terrence Ross, Michael Carter-Williams, Kem Birch, something like that.
Cool. And again, folks, you're listening to the Hawksbeat podcast. I got a guy, Jonathan Osborne, from the 6-Man Show podcast, talking a little Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic are going to be taking on the Atlanta Hawks tonight in preseason basketball, and I hope you're able to watch the game wherever you guys are listening, or wherever the case may be. I hope they figure out exactly what is going on with some of these local programming, man. That junk drives me crazy, because not only that, man, I was trying to watch Jeopardy the other night, man, and that didn't even come on my TV, man, because DirecTV and NBC or something's going on with that. I was like, man, y'all taking my Jeopardy away,
That's rough. Well, what it is, all of these like different, networks are like, oh, everyone's streaming and everyone's trying to come up with their like own streaming service or whatever it is that's going on. And, Fox is claiming it's Hulu and Hulu is claiming it's Fox. I watch all the Magic games on Hulu. I'm like a cable cutter or a cord cutter, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, Fox came out today and we're like, look, we have all these other deals in place, and Hulu and YouTube TV just don't want to come to an agreement. So I'm right there with you. Let's get this stuff figured out. It's rough.
Yeah, and the only reason why I haven't cut the cord is because my wife works for AT&T, which is kind of AT&T owns DirecTV, so we pay like $10 a month for DirecTV and Fox Sports South, and
you're not going to get any cheaper than that, my friend.
Yeah. So that's kind of what it is. I'm gonna get you up out of here on this, man. I appreciate your time, man. We definitely got to chop it up again, maybe during the season when the Magic and Hawks talk during the season.
Yeah, definitely, man. We'd love to have you on our show as well.
No doubt, man. And so just give me a forecast, man. I know the playoffs are a little bit different this year with the play-in, with the seed 7, 8, 9, 10. So you don't have to hit that 8 seed actually to get in the playoffs. You can get to play. You can do the playoff. The play-in if you can manage to get into that 7 through 10 spot. So what is kind of your forecast for the Magic? Because the Magic are kind of right there with the Hawks, right there with the Hornets, kind of right there in that bottom tier, kind of banging for that last spots to get in. What do you see this Magic forecasting for the season?
Well, really just looking around the Southeast Division, you look at Atlanta, who, again, I feel like got so much better. You look at Charlotte, who I think got better. And then you look at the Wizards, right? Whether they had Wall or now they have Westbrook, that addition along with Beal, the Wizards were going to get better too. So I think the overwhelming sentiment around Magic fans is it's going to be tough to get to that 7th or 8th seed. But like you were saying, even if you do, you're not guaranteed a spot. So right now, I think most Magic fans are expecting us to fall right around 9 or 10. And then when it comes to those playing games, anything can happen. And we're just going to be crossing our fingers.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. And I think that it's going to be more interesting than most people think, because everyone already kind of penciled in kind of like the first 6 or 7, 8 teams with the Sixers and the Bucks and everything. But I'm telling you, man, like all it takes is 1 or 2 COVID tests to hit one of these teams, and this whole Eastern Conference can be turned upside down.
Definitely.
Now, I'm not saying that the Knicks are going to be like a 2 seed, but I mean, if there's any year we can expect the unexpected, man, I think this might be the year.
Well, I think the MLB and the NBA are pretty similar in the respect where if you look at the NFL and you look at some of these like positive COVID tests that are coming out, like a lot of times, during like a day-to-day basis, you have your quarterback room, you have your running back room, you have your wide receiver room, you have your lineman room. So when COVID starts to spread, it's like, all right, a lot of our offensive line guys have it. Everybody else is pretty much okay. Where the MLB this season, you saw when a couple of guys got it, it was like all of a sudden 12, 13 guys on a team had COVID. And just the manner that NBA teams travel, I could see the same thing happening where all of a sudden it's like 8 guys on the Magic have COVID. And the Magic aren't going to be able to play basketball for a day or so until they figure out. Now, I don't really know how it's going to work with the free agents and the two-way contracts and everything like that. Maybe they'll be able to figure something out and play those games, but I'm 100% expecting games to be either postponed or canceled at some point this season.
It almost seems like the NBA should have at least allowed the rosters to get a little bit bigger. Maybe, I mean, because most of them carry 15, carry about maybe 3 more guys. You could even add, they could even be like 2-way guys, add 2, you could add 3 more 2-way guys, but they don't pay me to make those decisions, so it's all good.
Not yet.
But Mr. Osborne, man, I want to appreciate you, man, for coming on to the show, man. We definitely got to wrap again, and we'll see. We finally get basketball tonight, man, so we'll see what these guys look like after the long layoff between 8 or 9 months. I know it's been for the Hawks, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast. Like I said, you're welcome on our show anytime. Love to have you chop up some Magic Hawks. And here's just hoping for a happy, healthy season.
No doubt, man. Well, peace to you and your family and the podcast, man. You guys stay up and we'll be in touch, brother.
You as well, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. All right.